Have any of you guys ever looked at a car and thought to yourself, wow, I really like that car. It's a really nice car. Maybe you like the car because of the brand. Maybe you like the car because of the engine that it has. Maybe you like the car because of the exhaust, the color, the wrap, the interior even. There's a lot of different reasons why people could like cars. And if you've had that thought, then great, so have I. It just means you like cars, because if you didn't, you probably wouldn't even be thinking about that question in the first place. Now, there are tons of different ways that you could have seen this car. Maybe you saw it in a movie, or maybe you saw it in real life, magazine, video game. Any one of those things, you could have seen this car, and it just really sticks with you. It's just very, very memorable. And probably some of the most memorable cars would be, I would say, Brian's Nissan Skyline from Too Fast, Too Furious. Everybody knows the silver one with the blue coloring on it. Fantastic car, by the way. Lightning McQueen, very iconic. His lightning stripe number 95 with the red paint. Everybody knows who Lightning McQueen is. And the last one, you've never even had to play this game, but you've definitely seen the car, but the BMW M3 GTR from Need for Speed Most Wanted 2005. And all of these cars actually have something in common. If you were to ask me, it has to do with its design. And again, not the body of it, but more so, if you want to say the livery, the wrap, the paint color, whatever word you want to use. But I think those are what make the vehicles stand out above the rest, regardless of it's their design. If you see those cars, you know those cars, even if you haven't even really paid too much attention to their media types. Now, as for myself, there are a ton of different vehicles that I like, and for all the reasons that I previously mentioned, but there is always one vehicle that is kind of stuck with me. It's really just a very simple car from a game that I used to play, and I really liked it. So we're going to do a quick little jump back to 2011 when younger me was playing on the Xbox 360 a fun little game called Need for Speed The Run. Now, I won't go into too much detail about the game, mainly because it's not important to the video, but in a short, brief little summary here, you play as this character named Jack who owes the mob a ton of money, and you got to do this race from San Francisco to New York to win that money to pay off the mob and pretty much get them off your back. And there is one car in the game that has really just stuck with me, and it's not even like a super fast car. It's not flashy, and it's not even something where you have to do a lot of challenges to unlock. It's actually a car that's beginning straight from the get-go. This car being Jack Rourke's BMW M3 E92 GTS. Now, why am I even bringing all this up, you may ask? Well, if you notice the title of the video, this car has been a very slight inspiration to how I was going to build or modify my Hyundai Elantra N. I figured, why not do something simple and kind of outstand from the rest of the Elantra N crowd and do something that, you know, maybe a few people might get the reference, or at the very least something that I can look at and say, you know what, I know why I did this. So now that we've got all the exposition out of the way, this video is pretty much going to be broken up into three main parts going forward. So the first part is going to be going over Jack's BMW build, at least from the details that we can see. The next part is going to be about me, kind of the creative process of trying to figure out how am I going to replicate it. And then, of course, the final part is going to be the end result. Now we've got that all out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into part one. Okay, so getting into part one, breaking down Jack Rourke's build. Now, I want to point out that this game, obviously, since it came out in 2011, we don't really get to see anything under the hood, but visually is kind of what we're going for. So, to break it down here, of course, the base model is that BMW M3 GTS. A couple things to note: that the carbon fiber hood and the roof and that spoiler here in the rear, these are all part of the car as is, but it looks like he wrapped the car matte black, and he wrapped the outer edges of the hood matte black as well. He's got the carbon fiber rear view mirrors. The vehicle is obviously lowered and also looks like to have a integrated wide body kit. He's got Volk raised TE37 wheels. On the wheels, obviously they're center locks, but for the game it looks like they have what are supposed to be lug nut textures, I would imagine. But he's got the two decals here on the spokes and these other decals on the outside. Now these parts right here were kind of left in the dark because the game is so low res that we can't really exactly tell. But what we can tell is he's got himself a Raise Engineering logo, and right beneath that is a Bimmer World logo. And for the tires themselves, I think these are just some basic semi-slick compound that Need for Speed made up. I don't think these are any specific tire brand. And then to kind of knock it all off here, the tires and the wheels, they look to be a little bit on the larger side. So this is kind of what we have to work with. Now, I'm going to break a couple things down, give myself some restrictions. I'm doing this mostly for fun, and I'm not really trying to break the bank. It's just a fun, really loose replication of this vehicle. So we're not getting carbon fiber parts. I'm not wrapping the car matte black, and I'm 100% not getting TE37s because I don't feel like dropping $5,000 just for a set of wheels. There's a goal that I wish to achieve, and there are some restrictions that I have, and only like a limited amount of resources we can work with, and I still want to achieve something nice, and it's about getting there. So we're going to go ahead and get into part 2 and kind of give ourselves the breakdown on what we have to do on my end. Getting into part 2, the creative process. This is probably going to be the most extensive one. So the good news for me is obviously my car is already black. Now another thing too is that the Elantra N's do have the red pinstriping or the red trim towards the bottom. I'm not going to black that out. I think it's kind of what separates it from all the other base model Elantras, and I really like it. So even though Jax doesn't have a red trim, we're going to keep it on mine. Some other things to note as well. Since I'm not getting Ray's TE37s, this is going to be the biggest thing to kind of figure out. I have to find a 6-spoke wheel that looks similar, that isn't some basic Yeehy T-He 6.9 whatever kind of reps that they have out there on the market, and the lug nuts are going to be silver. The other two things that are going to be a little bit difficult to do, we're going to have to find 2 logos to put on the side of my car. Obviously, since I'm not getting Ray's, I can't put Ray's Engineering, and because I don't have a BMW or a Bimmer, we can't put Bimmer World on the side. That just wouldn't make any sense. And the last thing being the tires themselves. Living in Southern California, it's mostly hot anyways. We don't really get a whole lot of rain, so I do have a little bit more range to play with. Starting with the hardest thing, the wheels. As previously stated, Jack's wheels are a lot larger. Most people, when they have the Elantra N's, tend to say go for the 18-inch wheels because you have a lot more options available at that size. However, because of what I'm doing, I do want to stick with the 19s. And me personally, I think the 19s look way better on the Elantra N than the 18s. I think the 18s look way too small. So what we're looking here is on Google, we got 6-spoke wheels. We're going to do some research, right? So we've got like some Vors TR37, again, just a basic rep. We've got the Flowform RF06RRs, the Avid One AV6. We've got the Anki's T6R or Anki or whatever you want to call them. There's a lot of different options that are available. And one of the other ones like the 696 or 67 or whatever this is. Like these are all just cheap replicas, right? When I did my research for this, there was one particular brand that I came across, and that was ESR. So if we go on their website here and we go to their wheels and the AP series, it's going to be the AP6. As you take a look at the AP6 here, it is a 6-spoke wheel design, and it is the thin spokes, kind of like how Jack has on his vehicle. And the good news about these particular wheels is that they do make them in 19 inches. They have 19 by 8.5 plus 30, and we're looking for 5 by 114.3. I need at least plus 35. Anything lower than plus 35 is going to rub on the car's fenders, and I don't want to do that. So down here, it looks like they have the available sizes, custom offsets available, or if you have any questions, you can always give them a call. So I went ahead and shot them an email. Now, I sent ESR an email about these wheels, asking if they could make 19 by 8.5 plus 35, or even plus 40, and they got back to me saying, hey, yeah, you know, we might have some plus 35s coming in soon, or also some blanks. And basically what the blanks mean is they can kind of machine off the backing plate of the wheels to make them whatever offset they want. So if I can get them to get a plus 40, then that would be perfect. We wouldn't even have to really worry about too much farther. They even have spoke decals. Wow, that's so convenient. I would actually end up getting the matte black here, this black one, so that way it meshes in with the color of the wheel. And this is perfect because this goes hands in hand with doing the ESR logo on the side of the vehicle, much like how he has the Rays logo, I could put the ESR logo, and that kind of knocks out 2 birds with 1 stone. Now, speaking of logos, obviously if we're going to get the ESR wheels, we can put the ESR logo in place of the Rays logo, meaning we just have to find something for us to put instead of Bimmer World. There are a couple different options we can think of. I thought about maybe, depending on the tires that I get, putting the tire logo, whether it's Toyo tires or maybe Falcon or something else. I don't want to put in performance, right? Because in performance, while it is technically almost like the Hyundai version of Bimmer World, the N logo is already plastered all over the Elantra N, and I'm not saying it's bad, I do like it, but what I don't want to do is overplay it, especially with on the side skirt of the Elantra Ns, there's already an embedded N logo, so I don't want to like repeat too much. So we're going to have to find something different. But after doing a little bit more research, I ended up landing on the 6th Element Engineering logo. And this is because with the Elantra Ns, 6th Element does a lot of supporting mods for the Elantra Ns, like intakes, blow-off valves, catch cans, you know, some other basic stuff as well. But I think if we did the 6th Element Engineering on the bottom and then have ESR at the top, it would kind of match that sort of shape that he has on the side of his vehicle. And then, of course, we have our own logos. So we just have to make them in gray. And that is exactly what I did. So if you take a look at this photo here, you can see I have the ESR logo and the Sixth Element Engineering logo on the side of my car in the gray vinyl. And I matched this body line that's on the side of the Elantra, so it's a little bit slanted. If I put it straight across, it would look really weird and it would go around the bend. So I went ahead and lined it up, and I think it looks great. Also, I blacked out the badges on the front and the rear. So instead of that hideous chrome 3D kind of badge it has on the front bumper, it is now the new flat black one that they have on the newer Elantra Ns. All in all, I'd say we're coming along pretty well with this replica. I mean, we have a nice set of wheels that kind of fit our description perfectly. We've got the spoke decal coming in for it. We got the actual decals on the side of the vehicle, and they're not even a copy and paste. They're just my own unique decals that would fit my vehicle in its scenario. All we need is a really nice set of tires. Now, I won't really go through the whole research process. We've kind of already been staring a lot at the screen. But there was a lot of different tire options, and what I ended up going with was the Firestone Indy 500 tires. I had them on the Corolla. I really liked them. They had great tread wear, they had great grip, and they were relatively affordable. That's what we ended up going with. They're at the shop. So it kind of seems like we got it figured out relatively quickly. Realistically, all we have to do is just kind of put it all together once they all come in, and we're good, right? We just have to wait for everything to come in, right? Wrong. So apparently there was a little bit of miscommunication with ESR. When they had originally contacted me, they told me that there was going to be plus 35s coming in as standard. And so I had waited. I bought these wheels way back in Black Friday. It was buy three, get one. And eventually they contacted me, and I thought, oh boy, today's the day. They're going to call me to let me know that my wheels are coming in. No, unfortunately, they called to tell me that, hey, we're actually not ever going to get plus 35s at all, or blanks. We're only going to ever get plus 30s. And they're on back order for another 6 to 8 months. I decided to opt out, got a refund, but that means that I had to hit the ground running to find some more wheels. And again, we already saw the options that were available. Wasn't really trying to get some basic rep. Now, I do want you guys to understand, because I didn't want to drop $5,000 to $6,000. I did look into some Ray's 57 DRs, but I also still didn't want to drop $3,000. So I want you guys to understand, before I say this next thing, my options were limited. So I didn't get the Avid 1 AV6. I did not get the 6.9, 6 or whatever, the 6.7. I didn't get those wheels either, but I did end up with these wheels right here. The Super Speed RF06RR wheels in matte black, because they do make them in the 19 by 8.5 plus 35 for the 5 by 114.3. Now, before you guys start flaming me in the comments,
I'm sorry, little kids, but I'm gonna kill a clown today.
boo, what a loser. Those are just reps. They're just Canadian reps. Oh, he's got reps.
You fat, you stink, and you ugly, and you broke.
But let me just say this.
I've had these on the car for about a week, and I like them, so sue me. Because I wasn't getting the ESR wheels anymore, I had to take the ESR logo off the vehicle because I kind of jumped the gun in doing that. It was very difficult, and what I ultimately landed on was the N75 logo. Now, N75 is also another company that kind of does supporting mods for the Elantra N, like ECUs, high-pressure fuel pumps, motor mounts, spark plugs, coil packs as well. But you can also get basic stuff too, like oil filters, brake pads, brake rotors for the Elantra N. I kept the Sixth Element Engineering logo, put the N75 logo on it instead, and boom, we're back in business. So it is at this point where things are actually kind of coming to the conclusion. All we really have to do is move on to part 3, the end result, which we're going to go to now. Well, guys, there you have it. That is the end result here for the replica build on the Elantra N. Although it's not really a build or a replica because it's a completely different vehicle, so maybe a tribute would be a better word. Overall, I still think the end results are really nice. I like how it looks. It's very clean, very simple. It's not out in your face, and I think it does Jack's car justice. Now, I know some of you guys might flood to the comments and say, oh, come on, dude, you really didn't do a whole lot. You just bought some wheels, bought some tires, and just slapped a couple decals on the side of it. You really didn't do much. While that is technically true, this video is here to show you guys that it's not as simple as buying the wheels, buying the tires, and slapping the same decals on the side of the car. It was a little bit intricate, right? Because I had to find some reputable reps because I didn't want to spend $5K on some TE37s. The tires themselves, it's not really too hard, but you want to get something close. And the decals were not just a one-to-one copy because, again, of the type of vehicle that it is. It's not always as easy, but for me, I like having a nice, fun little goal and reaching it and finding different ways to get there. I think the end result, if you can pull it off, I think it's always very nice. Now, a couple other things that I did to the vehicle that were not previously mentioned. I didn't put decals on the spokes, mainly because, well, it's not Volk Racing's TE37, so I couldn't put them on there. Although me and my coworker did joke about maybe putting the Walmart sticker on some spokes, and I think that would be funny maybe to do later on. I also put on Tyler Morgan's Targa Trophy logo that he has on the top right of his corner of his vehicle from Need for Speed Payback. I've always really liked the calligraphy on that logo, so I went ahead and slapped it on the Elantra. I think it gives it a little bit more personality, so even though we're replicating Jack's BMW, I still think adding this tiny little detail is a fun little thing for me. And who would I be to have the 6-element engineering logo on the side of my car without any of their parts? So I bought the AV6 blow-off valve and the CPLT intake V2 for the Elantra N, and I love them a lot. And of course, I also did do a resonator delete. If you guys have seen my YouTube short, we're going to go ahead and do the obligatory sound clip right here in this video. Now, all that to be said, there's a reason why I chose this vehicle, and there's a reason why at the beginning I said it's kind of always stuck with me, and the simple answer is, well, because it's simple, it's very clean. If you've been around the channel long enough, you know that the Corolla was actually quite ricey. There's a couple things that I did to the car where if I see it now, I'd be like, ugh, that's no good. And, if I was going to have fun with the Elantra, and I figured might as well pay homage or tribute to something that's very simple that I don't have to do a whole lot to. And whether that's lazy, a fun idea, or what have you, again, I still like the end results for it. Now, a few final things for this video. Black Panther, if you did actually end up watching it, that would be super cool. I grew up watching you play Need for Speed The Run while I was playing it. I know you have love for the game. I have love for the game. RIP Black Box Studios. We miss you guys. If you did end up watching this and you enjoyed it, that would be pretty awesome. Lastly, my next video that I'm going to end up making is probably going to be like my 6-month update. Things I like about the car, things I don't like about the car, which that list is actually a lot shorter, of course. I do like this car a lot, and I'm having a lot of fun with it, but that'll be for a later video. But I know today was actually quite longer of a video. It was a nice process video, and so I hope you guys really did enjoy it. And if you guys did, feel free to leave a comment, perhaps subscribe if you're new, and hopefully we'll see you guys in the next one. But until then, we'll see you later.